Yo, what's good, everybody? Today we're talking about another Marvel Snap beginner's guide, and we're talking destroy decks. I know a lot of people love them, and of course, because it's a beginner's guide, we have all pool 1 cards that are centered around that incredible Carnage card. If you're a part of pool 2, then you can use this as kind of a base to center your pool 2 destroy deck around. Replace some of the cards with some of those really good pool 2 cards that help out Carnage and help out destroy decks. So down here is the deck that we're going to be working with, and the main keys to this deck are going to be Carnage and Nova. There's a couple of different win conditions in this deck. It's not just destroy, 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 though that is the main way that we can win. We also have things to buff up all the little creatures if you don't end up having Carnage or Nova out there. The first card that we're going to look at is, of course, Carnage. Carnage, on reveal, he's gonna destroy the other cards at that location and give you a +2 power for each one destroyed. The max power that Carnage can have as a result of this is gonna be a +6, and it's gonna take him from being a 2/2 to a 2/8. 8 power on a 2-cost card is gonna be insane. Now, if we mix that with Nova, then what Nova does is when he gets destroyed, he's gonna give all the other cards on the entire board +1 power. So when I first got Nova, I thought he only did it to the location that you were at, but in reality, he does your entire side of the board. So if you've got guys on location 1 and Nova in location 2, Carnage comes in, eats them up, destroys them, then all those other cards are going to get +1 power, and that is an incredible benefit. And when you destroy a card, instantly Angel's gonna fly out of your deck and he's going to replace one of the destroyed cards. If he's already in your hand, then he doesn't replace anybody. He doesn't fly out of your deck. He just stays there and he's just kind of a dead card. So if you have him in your hand, what you do is you put him on the board and you let Carnage eat him. Squirrel Girl is another really nice component of this deck. When she's revealed, she actually drops a squirrel at the other 2 locations. So when she comes out, that's more fodder for Carnage to eat up and get stronger, and you don't have to waste one of your really strong cards when you break them out. The last 1-drop that we're going to be using is Nightcrawler, and the reason that Nightcrawler is important is because he moves. So if you have him at the wrong location and you want Carnage to get a +2 boost, you want to move Nightcrawler from location 1 and put him at location 3, which is where you plan on using Carnage, then Nightcrawler can get eaten up by Carnage and make him stronger and buff him up. Nightcrawler is just very versatile. You can just move him around and help out the rest of your deck. And the last card in the deck that's sort of cannon fodder for Carnage is actually Mr. Sinister. And the reason that Mr. Sinister works out is because you put him out and he creates a clone of himself at that same location. By dropping Mr. Sinister there and then dropping Carnage on top, Carnage goes and kills the 2 Mr. Sinisters and gives himself a +4, and it frees up the space that you had at that location where you were going to have 4 power there anyway, and instead it just goes into Carnage. And we also have Wolverine, who of course when he's discarded or destroyed, he gets played at a random location. So Wolverine basically allows Carnage to gain +2 power and survive. That's an incredibly valuable asset in this pool 1 deck. When you don't have the guys like Winter Soldier or Sabretooth, Wolverine is kind of like the diet version of those cards. We also have Deathlok in the deck, and the reason that we have Deathlok is because he's going to basically protect you if you don't end up pulling the Carnage card. Because the whole key is killing Nova and spreading that +1 across the board to help out all your other creatures, well, sometimes you're just not going to pull Carnage. And Deathlok helps give us a little insurance against that. Deathlok comes out, you kill Nova, and he's still gonna spread the +1 across the board. He doesn't get any particular bonus from killing other creatures. He just kind of destroys the ones that are at that location. So you want to just be careful about how you play Deathlok, especially if you don't have Nova out there. And of course, the good news is if you already killed Nova, if you already have Carnage, then you could just drop Deathlok at an empty location and he doesn't kill anybody, but he is 5 power for 3 energy, which is really amazing. And before we move on to the last 3 cards, I want to just talk about Angela real quick. She's a 2-drop, obviously, and she's an incredibly powerful card for any deck, especially in pool 1. But in this one in particular, with all the little creatures that you're going to be dropping, and you're only going to be able to destroy 1 or 2 locations of them, Angela is going to help you beef up that 3rd location and give you a ton of power, because when you play the cards on top of her, she's getting +2 power. So even if you play a bunch of little creatures in there, she kind of carries that location. She's very similar to Carnage in that sense without actually destroying any cards. Now we reach the fun part. We got Khazar on the list, and I know what you're thinking. Aren't we supposed to be destroying creatures? Why would we give them all a +1 boost if we're going to destroy all the 1-drops? Well, you're not going to destroy all the 1-drops. You're not always going to get the opportunity to do that. Carnage is not always going to be in your hand. Deathlok is not always going to be in your hand. Khazar is there as a sort of insurance policy against that. So if you end up going wide and then you're not able to drop Carnage, or somebody plays armor, or Deathlok is not available, then Khazar gives us a backup plan and buffs all these 1-drops that we are dumping onto the board. And Blue Marvel sort of fills a similar role to Khazar, except that Blue Marvel buffs all your cards no matter what, +1 power. And the reason we like that is that even if all the 1-drops were destroyed by Carnage and Deathlok, well, Blue Marvel is still there to make those cards better. And whatever cards you have left that got buffed by Nova, well, it's another +1 buff to everybody from Blue Marvel. The reason that we have America Chavez in here is that she cannot be drawn before turn 6. So in theory, she's thinning out your deck. She's making this an 11-card deck instead of a 12-card deck. So you're more likely to reach that Carnage or that Deathlok that you're trying to get to go destroy Nova. She's also an incredibly strong, very good drop on the 6th turn. So if everything else isn't working, you know at least you got America Chavez coming. She comes in turn 6. You can drop her on a location that you might be losing by a little bit. Your opponent's not going to expect it. And all of a sudden, America Chavez comes in with a punch and just lays them out. She's an incredible card that really thins out your deck and helps out with giving you a ton of power if something goes wrong. So that is our Pool 1 Carnage Destroy deck. If you enjoyed the content, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. It helps out immensely. And go check out some of my other Marvel Snap beginners guides. We're continuing to come out with these almost at a daily pace. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.